Man, these Dungeons and Blossom Tales are kicking my ass.
Well, tell you what, Drew, why don't you just give the developers a call, see if they can give you a hand?
Yeah, good idea. I hope they pick up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, episode 50, and we are the Nintendo Podcast, a part of the 8-Bit Collective. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and joining me, as always, is my best buddy, Bryce DeWitt.
Good freezing morning.
Yes, it is very cold. And joining us for the first time on the show is Miguel and Rob from Castle Pixel. Guys, how are we going today?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having us.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you guys very much for joining us on the show today. I initially reached out to you guys because I'm a huge Blossom Tales fan. I bought it back in December on Christmas Day, and I just couldn't put the game down. It really reminded me of the time I bought A Link Between Worlds back in 2013, and that game really captured me. I absolutely love the exploration, and comparing it to one of my favourite Zelda games, I feel like that's some of the highest praise I can give to any game, because we all know the Legend of Zelda series is a very special series, especially for us Nintendo fans.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that that you enjoyed it.
No worries at all. So what are both of your roles at Castle Pixel, and how do you guys work together to create your games?
Miguel, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I basically was the writer for Blossom Tales at Castle Pixel. I helped come up with a story, dialogue, all the cool word stuff. So worked with Rob. It's all over Skype, so it's interesting, but we make it work.
How was it working 100% remotely over Skype as opposed to, working in person within the same room?
It's cool. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We haven't met each other in person yet, but we've made like 2 games, Blossom Tales and Rex Rocket together. So it's I like it.
Yeah, sweet. What about yourself, Rob? What do you do at Castle Pixel?
Yeah, I'm basically like artist, game designer. I do some programming, do a little bit of everything at Castle Pixel, but primarily probably art and design and stuff like that. As to working remotely, I think it's great. We do everything over Skype, Dropbox. I've met the programmer Tyler, who couldn't make it today in person, but yeah, I've never met Miguel. He's like, West Coast, and Tyler and I are both East Coast, the U.S. So, but yeah, that's the gist.
Yeah. So you and Tyler, do you guys work over Skype, or do you guys work together since you're both similar parts of the country?
No, yeah, Tyler's from Toronto and I'm from Pittsburgh. So we're close. We're in the same time zone. And sometimes he's come down and we've worked together like in the same space. But for the most part, I'll usually screen share with Tyler, while he's programming, and Miguel too, to, get like live feedback and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it still blows my mind that you can actually like work with people over the internet, like us doing this podcast now with each of you on each side of the United States and us in Australia. It really is it really is awesome that we can use the internet to do these collaborations.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. Blossom Tales, just by looking at it, you can see that it's very heavily inspired by retro games such as The Legend of Zelda and other Nintendo games. So what games did you guys grow up with, and what were the games that sort of inspired you guys to start developing your own games?
Miguel, you want to take that one first?
Yeah. I grew up Nintendo, so I mean, it was a pleasure to work on Blossom Tales, since Zelda has always been my favorite series ever since Link to the Past. So yeah, that just Mario, Pokemon, and Zelda. Those have been my favorite kind of games.
Yeah, and being able to write your own game like Blossom Tales, similar to The Legend of Zelda, would have been a dream come true, being able to make your own version of that.
Yeah, definitely. Finally get to use your own imagination, creativity to toss in ideas, and then it's cool that we're far away, but it's just like pretty much 3 of us, and we work pretty close, so we bounce ideas back and forth, and we can put our own sense of humor in there, and no one can tell us not to, so it's cool.
Yeah, the benefits of being an independent developer, I guess. Rob, what games did you grow up with?
Oh, let's see. Well, my first gaming console was a Nintendo, 8-bit Nintendo. So I grew up with Mario and Zelda games like Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. A lot of that. Played a lot of PC games too, like this old school Sierra games, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been a Nintendo fanboy at heart. And I guess that would also be like something that got me into game dev in the first place was just playing them and being curious about how they're made and all the work that goes into game development and stuff like that. So I think I originally got into game dev. Like I started making games at my first job at an advertising agency with one of the clients needed to do like some educational games. So I got into, game frameworks and stuff like that. And ever since I've just been making video games.
So was this something you got into when you were younger, say at high school, or did you get more into it as you got older?
No, I started way back when I was like 20, and I'm like 33 now. So, but yeah, when I got into game making, I found this really cool framework called Flixel, which was by the guy who had made Cannonball. It's like that pixel runner. That was probably his most popular game. But yeah, I mean, I've always really liked doing like pixel art and, programming, and knowing that I could like kind of do both at the time was like really awesome to me. So I kind of got hooked on game development.
So what was one of your favorite games that really inspired you to become a game creator, that made you say, I really have to get into this industry?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess Final Fantasy VII would probably be like my favorite game from my childhood. It was just so cool at the time. I mean, like I've replayed it since, and it's still like really well made game, but it's not really quite the same. But yeah, I remember playing Final Fantasy and being like, "This is amazing! Like, how do you put all this stuff together to like make this type of experience?"
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy is a game that led a lot of people to look into getting into games. I haven't played Final Fantasy much myself, but I know Bryce has played a fair bit. How did that make you go on to decide to make your own games and eventually lead to forming Castle Pixel?
Let's see. We formed Castle Pixel while we were making Rex Rocket. So we had been in talks with Nintendo to make a port of Rex Rocket for the Wii U. Which we weren't actually able to do, but in order to like sign up with the Nintendo Dev program and stuff like that, we had to make a company. So that's what originally brought us to forming a company.
So you guys still released games on Steam and PC before making Castle Pixel?
Right, that's correct.
And did you guys know each other before starting the company together, or did you guys just meet online and learn to collaborate that way?
Miguel, didn't you message me through the Kickstarter or something? I can't even remember.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason I joined was I was like checking out Kickstarter and I saw this cool Rex Rocket game and I just shot him a message, hey, you need a writer? And pretty sure it was Rob on there. He said yeah. And so we didn't know each other before that.
Yeah, that's really cool that you met basically through your love of making games together.
Yeah, we kickstarted Rex Rocket, but Blossom Tales did not make the funding goal. But FTG had actually come in prior to us, like during while we were actively running the Kickstarter, and they offered to partner with us to make Blossom Tales. If the funding for it didn't succeed, so that worked out, and it's been great ever since.
Yeah, thank God. Do you reckon you guys will stick with that publisher?
Yeah, FTG's really awesome to work with. They're a great group of guys over there. They got Monster Boy coming out soon, which I think Miguel has done some work on.
Yeah, I did pretty much all the dialogue.
Oh, sweet. When does that come out? Is that a game that's coming out soon?
There's no set date yet, but late summer, so maybe in like 2-3 months. And it's cross-platform, so it'll pretty much come out on everything except I think the only platform it'll come out later is computer, Steam.
And that's a bit different because usually it comes out on PC first, then it comes out on consoles.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. It's like the Switch is the new Steam. It's like, who cares about Steam? It's it's like the new Wii U is what it is. It's like the last platform to get covered.
Oh. No, I don't know if it's the new Wii U. That sounds a bit harsh.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
So with Rex Rocket being your first game, was it 2014 you guys formed Castle Pixel?
Yeah, like I said, we had a Nintendo rep reach out to us back in the day. I think it was like while we were running the Kickstarter again. Like, just tons of great stuff happened from Kickstarter. But yeah, one of the Nintendo reps hit us up and they were like, "Hey, this looks great. We'd love to have it on the Wii U. We'll send you guys dev kits if you incorporate and get a company going." So we did that like immediately. Unfortunately, it never made it to the Wii U, but yeah, shortly after the Kickstarter, like as soon as we could, we incorporated.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the development of Blossom Tales. What struggles and challenges did you guys have to face while developing the game?
Oh geez, it's Blossom Tales is like a really long story. So I had started Blossom Tales like forever ago, like maybe like 2010 or something, and the current dev team for it wasn't even Blossom Tales really at the time. It was like a top-down action RPG, but none of the art was the same, or even the story. It was just the name. But basically, the dev team for that fell apart. I moved on to Rex Rocket. After Rex Rocket went up on Steam, I was looking for stuff to do, basically. So I took all these graphics that I had done for Blossom Tales, updated them, and changed them, and we put together a Kickstarter. I made like a short, crappy dev demo of it, and we put it up there. So, by the time that happened, we had spent like 2 or 3 years making Rex Rocket. Well, no, I guess it was 2 years, almost 2 years. And so, yeah. Yeah,
I noticed that Lily was actually wearing a knight's uniform in the Kickstarter video, whereas in the finished game, she's wearing just her normal outfit.
Yeah, I changed it like a couple months into development because no one really liked the boxy knight. They all wanted to play as Lily, like the little girl, so I did up a Lily sprite for it.
I think that helps the game too, being able to play as a female and having it different to something like The Legend of Zelda or a Castlevania game where you're playing as mainly males, actually showing that you're playing a girl. I think that's quite beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. That knight was practically placeholder.
Yeah, I think you guys made the right decision with that as well. Miguel, what were some of the struggles and processes of writing for the game?
I guess having such a small team, the only challenge is finding out what ideas to actually, you get to use. So one thing we wanted to do more with Blossom Tales was have the choice moments that people love, but all of them have said that they wish there was more, and so did we. So that was one challenge, is figuring out what ideas, we come up with a lot of cool ideas, and with writing and story, new areas or bosses or whatever, and just have to cut it down to whatever fits best and will be the most fun.
Did you guys have fun with the way you sort of formatted the story and had it from the perspective of Lily's grandpa telling the two grandkids a story, and how when you progress through the game, it's basically Lily's grandpa telling you that, basically telling you where to go, how to solve puzzles, introducing you to characters. I personally really enjoyed that. Was it fun sort of breaking away from other games such as Zelda and other adventure games?
Yeah, definitely. It was from the get-go we had that that was one of our ideas, and inspired by Princess Bride that Rob loves. And I like it too. But yeah, it felt like it was our kind of like unique way of telling a story, so it wasn't too similar to other games, So we definitely had fun with it.
Yeah, I think it made the game really sweet how the grandpa was sitting down with his kids, his grandkids, just enjoying himself, and just the way it played into the story too. I don't feel like it's been done before. Like the parts I especially like are the parts where your grandpa will be like, he'll say something, but the kids will be like, "Really?" And he'll be like, no, just joking.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people too agree with me that it's like one of the best things about the game, how it sort of told its story.
Yeah, we're glad people like the theme that we had going, and are glad glad the kids interrupting didn't pop them out of the game or anything. It actually made the game more captivating and charming.
Yeah, that's what the narrative mechanic is like one of my favorite things in Blossom Tales. It's just it's like, one, it's an element that makes it different than Zelda, so that was like a big plus for us. And two, it's just it's really fun to have that as a game mechanic, and just having like the story in that context. It's like a story in a story. It's kind of weird. I always ask people like, who you're playing in Blossom Tales. Like, it's kind of strange when you try to think about it. Like, are you playing as Grandpa because he makes the yes no decisions, right? Or like, do you pick? I don't know. Are you playing as the kids? It's weird.
Yeah, I think you're playing as Lily personally. I know the grandpa's basically telling the story, and what you're doing is pretty much exactly what he's saying. But I think you're playing as Lily because you are running around as Lily. You are using her sword. You're using her items. So yeah, that's what I take away from it. Also, Blossom Tales is usually described as a Zelda-like game. A lot of people compare it to a Link to the Past because of its use of hearts and like its overworld and the sword, even the little charge-up beam you use. Does that flatter you, or do you find it sort of annoying that you've been compared to like someone else's game?
It doesn't annoy me at all. I mean, I think it's kind of flattering to be compared to Zelda because that's just there's such amazing games. So
yeah, fair enough. If I made a game that was compared to The Legend of Zelda or Mario, I'd be over the moon.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking because some developers might be upset that people are comparing their game to something else because it is their game.
Yeah, for sure. I bet being a Zelda, it's almost like being in a genre, like it's like a type of game almost. I mean, I know it technically be like a top-down action RPG, but you can have those, and they're still like not like Zelda, like. Well, I mean, it's hard for me to put into words, but.
Yeah. When you're developing the game, did you think to try and add something different, like not use hearts, and separate yourself from people thinking that you're a Zelda game, or did you want to try and evoke those feelings and try and lean off the Nintendo audience?
Oh yeah, I mean, so a lot of the things in Blossom Tales are like direct Zelda references. So things like hearts and health potions and. I mean, all sorts of crap is directly, it's like a nod to Zelda. Like the room that you start the game off in is like the exact same layout as A Link to the Past starting room, which not many people seem to notice. I don't know if we made it obvious enough.
Yeah, now that you actually bring that up, it is the same way. Miguel, how do you feel about being compared to the Legend of Zelda series?
Yeah, I think it was less of looking at Zelda and seeing what did Zelda do, and more of like just naturally it felt right, just based on our experience playing Zelda games and other classic NES and top-down games where just felt right to wake up and go straight to the castle. And there are some differences, right? But like Rob said, it is flattering that people say it's a Zelda clone, basically.
Yeah. How did you guys go about designing the dungeons in the game? Obviously, a lot of the time would have been spent just making sure the puzzles are right, that they all fit together, that each dungeon's a good length. So how'd you go about doing that?
I would lay out the dungeons in like a big Photoshop document. And I'd start with different room types. So I had puzzle rooms, I had like monster mob rooms, I had boss rooms, also obstacle rooms, stuff like that. So I kind of place those and make sure that it felt good. And then we would use things like the classic Zelda formula where you find a new item and then you can backtrack through the dungeon. Things become easier as you learn how to use the new item. And lots of, I guess, just like lots of playtesting, I had a lot of game testing over at FTG, and so they would provide us feedback, and I mean, we would send builds to like Miguel and Tyler. I've played Blossom Tales like a trillion times. So yeah, it was a long process to make most of the dungeons, but I think it was worth it in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate how long they were. Especially coming off of Breath of the Wild, where you've got the four beasts to tame, and you've got the shrines, which are little small challenges. But I really like Blossom Tales, like sitting down and doing a nice, meaty, long dungeon where the puzzles weren't too hard. Well, they weren't too easy, they weren't too hard. It was just that right balance of being able to discover what the answer is. Yeah, so I absolutely love that.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
No worries. So when you guys were working with Nintendo to port Blossom Tales to the Switch, what was your experience like working with them and using the Switch hardware?
You know what? FTG went through a porting company, and I mean, Tyler and I really haven't had any contact with them for Blossom Tales. For Rex Rocket, though, from our experience with them, they're amazing. They're one of the most indie friendly companies out there. So yeah, I thought it was great for what it was.
Yeah, so you guys didn't have to do the porting, so it made it nice and easy for you.
Yeah, Tyler uses a pretty popular game framework, that lets you publish to the Switch. So, but to like port all the localized stuff for the Switch was kind of a pain in the butt. So it was like a lot from what he tells me.
Yeah, I read an article on Game Informer the other week where it explained that Blossom Tales has sold 20-1 on Switch than it has to Steam. Are you guys enjoying the success Blossom Tales has seen on Switch?
Yeah, I have, for sure.
What is it about the Switch that you think the audience has received it so much better than somewhere like Steam?
Blossom Tales is like made. When we first made it, it's like, okay, we're gonna put it on Steam, but it's made for like a Nintendo platform. It's inspired by like every cool Nintendo game.
Yeah. I remember when I first heard about it, I went and bought it, and I just played it all over summer. Just couldn't put the game down. Absolutely addicted to it.
Nice.
With the game being a really retro-inspired game, and obviously Nintendo not having the Virtual Console on the Switch's eShop yet, do you feel like that helps you, not having to compete with Nintendo's offerings like A Link to the Past and titles like that?
As a Switch owner, I kind of want I want those old games. As a game developer, it would add a lot of competition to the eShop. So that would probably be bad for us.
Are you quite happy then that Nintendo is fairly reluctant to bring the Virtual Console out on Switch?
When I'm playing my Switch, I'm kind of angry when I am when I'm making Blossom Tales. I don't mind so much. It makes it a really attractive platform, right? I guess like it makes it more attractive for indie developers to want to come there because it's like, oh hey, we don't have to compete with all these amazing older eShop titles, but. Again, when I'm playing my Switch, it's like, I want to play Wind Waker. I want to play all these old school games. Like, where the heck are they? So, I don't know. I'm very conflicted.
How do you feel about it, Miguel, not having a Virtual Console on Switch?
Yeah, pretty much the same for as Castle Pixel. As far as Castle Pixel is concerned, the stars kind of aligned. And the Switch coming out, being a new console, no Virtual Console, and then Zelda Breath of the Wild being like the least Zelda-ish, like traditional Zelda, so it worked really well that we didn't have to compete with the Link to the Past, Link Awakening, Minish Cap. But just like Rob, I like those classic consoles that have come out, the NES and SNES, but I already own a lot of those games, so I do want the Virtual Console just so I can buy like just Chrono Trigger or just Super Mario World.
Yeah, well, you can't play on the go either with those classic consoles, so it's nice to have it on Switch to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I've been one of the few Zeldas, 2D Zeldas, or Zeldas in general, that I've played yet is Minish Cap, and I own it on my Wii U, but just because it feels so slow and cumbersome now, I can't even get myself to start it on the Wii U. I want to buy it on the Switch.
Yeah, like with all these old games, I seem to get through them a lot more just with having it in my hands, being able to pick it up whenever I want. That's how I've got to play so much Blossom Tales, just being able to pick it up whenever I want, put it on the TV, like blow up the beautiful pixel art. I absolutely love. Like, I want to see that happen real bad. So, what games would you guys most like to see on the Virtual Console? Obviously, there's a huge array of games from the handhelds and the consoles. So, what games would you like to see most come to the Switch?
I want them to bring every Game Boy game to the Switch. I want like all the Pokemon games. I want all the DS games too on there. I don't understand how they have those two handhelds and they're not bringing those games like to the Switch. Like, I would die to be able to play Pokemon like Sun and Moon on the Switch. And I'm just, I don't know why I don't have it yet.
Well, I really want Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire to come on the Switch, but I guess my Pokemon itch will be scratched come November when they release Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. Yeah, cannot wait for those. Another game I'd really like to see is Wind Waker. That'd be awesome to have that Wii U port come over to the Switch.
No, I really want to play Wind Waker. I've never played Wind Waker all the way through. I've only played like a couple hours of it.
Yeah, for the time being, you'll have to go and find a cheap Wii U or something.
I know. I've been looking. I've been really considering just getting a Wii U just for Wind Waker.
Yeah, you'll probably go out and buy one, and then they'll announce, "Oh, Wind Waker coming to Switch." So with obviously Nintendo is concentrating a lot on the indies, having the Nindies program being very prevalent, even having their own directs. exclusively half an hour just showing off indie games. And news came out the other day that they're planning on releasing 20 to 30 indie games each week. How do you guys feel about that maybe kind of saturating the market, and what does it mean for, potentially your next game if you bring it to Switch?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with the eShop. And actually, I mean, I don't want it to become like Steam, where you put a game out on Steam and then just no one buys it or like notices it. It's like it's a young Steam store right now. In my opinion, I feel like in a couple of years it might become somewhat the same. I don't know.
Yeah. So with the news of them trying to bring 30 games to the Switch each week, does that terrify you as an indie developer, bringing so many games to Switch each week and maybe being overlooked or overshadowed by just so much other stuff? Because it's hard to discover some things in the eShop when so many games are released all at one time.
Nintendo can do whatever they want. I'm not really worried about it. I think by the end of this year they have like the paid service coming, right?
Yeah, that's coming later.
So I think there's going to be like a big redesign of the eShop, and I'm not about to get worked up over it as of right now. But after that comes out, I hope that they remedy a lot of the problems that they have right now. I'd be totally fine with them releasing 30 games like a week, but I think that right now they have a problem with discoverability of games on the eShop. I mean, they have like best featured and for sale and like top games or whatever, but I mean, there's a lot of games on there, and the only way to find them right now is to go in and type it out in the search. Like, know what you want before you come in. So you can't really, they don't even suggest games or anything like that. So I hope when they get like the new system in place that they fix some of those things.
Yeah, well, they're sort of trying to add some more functionality to the eShop to help with discoverability. They've got the discoverability tab, and there was a couple of days there where they had like a 5-star rating system, but they took it away. I don't know why, but yeah, it's a bit odd.
Yeah, I saw that too. There were reviews up. They had like reviews on some of the games on the eShop, but they took it away real quick.
With your next game, do you think you'll be developing it for Switch again, or will you just be focusing on PC?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like making Nintendo-y games, so target platform would always probably be Switch or a Nintendo platform of like any kind, really.
Yeah, just having like the type of pixel art you guys make really lends itself to a Nintendo platform.
Yeah, I used to use, like, for Rex Rocket, I didn't do it so much with Blossom Tales, but both palettes of the game are based off of the old NES palette. It's, like, expanded, but the base color palette is still there.
All right, so do you restrict yourself when you decide what color palette you're going to use for your games?
Yeah, well, when I made Rex Rocket, I was really strict about it, and I was like, okay, only the colors from this palette. For the most part, I mean, I started to bend the rule, and then when Blossom Tales came around, I had like a customized palette, and I built on top of that one. And now I'm just doing whatever. It's like, okay, does this look good or not?
Yeah. Now, that was really interesting in the NES days where they were limited by the hardware, so they could only do so much. Bringing those sensibilities into a modern game, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, totally. Having a limitation, it caused all sorts of weird design, like Mario's mustache, right?
So Blossom Tales has seen a lot of commercial success. It's sitting at an 80 score on Metacritic, and it's number 15 in IGN's top 25 Nintendo Switch games. How does that make you feel? Honestly, that you must be over the moon just with how well the game's been received.
It was like beyond what I even hoped for, you know? It was really awesome.
Yeah, like I could only imagine what it would be like to be making a game for 7 or so years and bring it out to this much of a critical acclaim. It must be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Blossom Tales could have just wound up on a folder on my desktop on my old computer. It could just be sitting there right now and never would even come out.
Yeah, and that would have sucked too. Like, it's scary to think about how many games, don't make it to market because they don't have a publisher, because they don't have time. But, thank God Blossom Tales made it, because, my God, it is a fantastic game, and I would have been sadder without playing it. So
Cool, thank you.
So, Miguel, how do you feel about Blossom Tales popping up in all these articles and receiving all this critical success?
It's definitely been like a dream come true, and still still surreal too. You're making something, and part of you is saying, yeah, this is gonna be awesome, but another part of you is saying, this is probably gonna bomb. No one's gonna like it. But seeing right away the Switch sales doing good, getting covered by like Kotaku, Giant Bomb, even I think it's number 15 right now, still on IGN's best 25 Switch games. So that's a big deal for us too, and yeah, it's just been awesome. Definitely what we dreamed of.
Yeah, well, that's great because people who just buy a Switch, they'll Google the best Switch games. IGN will most likely pop up, and they'll go to that. And Blossom Tales is only a cheaper game. Here in Australia, it's $20, so it's a great game to pick up alongside maybe Mario or Zelda.
When I saw that on IGN, I was like, "Who paid them to say this?"
Yeah, you'll have to slip Brian Altano $5.
Yeah,
he played the game. He enjoyed it. He posted a couple times on Twitter.
Yeah, I did notice that I listened to a lot of his podcasts and that, and there was a while there on Nintendo Voice Chat where he just couldn't stop talking about the game. So last question, guys. So obviously you're a game studio. You will be wanting to make another game. Have you guys started development of your next game yet?
We've been kicking around a couple ideas. Not really sure what we're gonna do next though. We're still kind of like in Blossom Tales mode, I guess. Blossom Tales 1 mode. Still got like a little bit of work to do on that one, but yeah, we're thinking about maybe doing like Blossom Tales 2, or I have this like other project I'm thinking of slapping together a Kickstarter to put up there, get that Switch stretch goal, or no, that'd probably be the original goal. But we really don't know yet. It's all up in the air, really.
Yeah, I never really thought of the idea of a Blossom Tales 2. That could be really awesome. But obviously, you guys have done an adventure game and a platformer. Would your next game be? Would you be interested in trying like a different genre?
We would be doing kind of like Octopath Traveler, where I would want to do like, well, it would be kind of like an old school Final Fantasy RPG, like turn based. Yeah, that's kind of like what Hollow City would have been, and it would have been a sci-fi genre, like with androids and virtual hologram AI and stuff like that. It would have been pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense too, because Final Fantasy was one of the series that you fell in love with first. So would it be inspired by the retro Final Fantasy games that would be on, the old Nintendo or, the PlayStation 1?
Probably Final Fantasy. I mean, the combat's extremely similar, but yeah, well, just like Final Fantasy 7 or even Final Fantasy 6, like turn-based. Maybe with a couple more combat elements thrown in there, kind of almost like Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh yeah,
by BioWare. If you ever played that,
no, I haven't played it, but I've heard plenty about it.
Some of the newer Final Fantasies, I think you can like swap characters in the middle of battle, and there's like a free roam during the combat. It's sort of like that. Would
you think about maybe like making Blossom Tales 2? Like the turn-based game, say, use the same storytelling mechanics as the grandpa telling the story, but you can sort of weave that into the turn-based combat almost. Could be an interesting idea.
That is an interesting thought. I don't know. I can imagine people picking up Blossom Tales 2 and they're like playing it and they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it's like, why is it a different genre?
Yeah.
It'd be like from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like Blossom Tales, the platformer.
Yeah, it can be like the sections from A Link's Awakening where you go into the dungeon and it becomes a 2D platformer.
Yeah, it is super weird. We actually kind of thought about doing that for Blossom Tales, like doing the 2D platforming maps, but luckily it got nixed. I don't know how that would have worked out very well.
Yeah, it's just finding the right way to implement it.
Yeah.
All right, Miguel and Rob, thank you very much for joining us on episode 50 of The House of Mario.
Cool, thanks for having us on.
No worries at all. We absolutely love Blossom Tales. We think it's a fantastic game. And before we go, would you like to plug anything to our listeners?
I guess Blossom Tales, you can buy it on the eShop, and you can follow Miguel and I on Twitter if you want.
All right. What are your Twitter handles?
Oh, mine's Robbie the Robot with a 0 for the first O, and I don't know what Miguel's is.
Mine is GR8. Sayaman88. Yeah, you can follow me there.
Alright guys, go and follow him on Twitter and please support Blossom Tales. Blossom Tales is one of my favourite Switch games and, it's only $20 too, so it won't set you back. your whole wallet, maybe just a quarter of your wallet if you've got $60 in there. But thank you very much, guys, for coming on. Appreciate it so much. Being able to talk to you was an absolute pleasure. Now, listeners, I want to talk directly to you. I don't know if throughout the episode it was obvious or not, but this episode was 100% reconstructed from the ground up because we decided to use a different program called Cast, which actually records guests' audio and makes it just easy to download and sync up and whatever. We did a test run the night before, worked fine, used it for this interview, and it just absolutely shit itself. We got our guest audio fine, but it completely destroyed our audio. If you're curious what it sounds like, this is what it sounds like. I'm a huge fan of Blossom Tales. Yeah, you don't want to listen to that. So we had the option of trying to clean it up, which when the crackles that integrated into the audio, there's no way you can fix it. So what I had actually done is redo all my lines from the episode, and it took forever, but that's alright. I hope it came out okay. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too jarring. And that's also why Bryce was very quiet. He only said one thing at the very start of the episode. He said a few things, but that, he couldn't redo all his lines as well. So I still hope that came out okay. So, I cannot thank you guys enough for listening to this show, whether this is your first episode or you've been with us for a long time. Thank you very much. We love you so much for listening to our show when you can. We appreciate it. Especially now, we're up to episode 50. It is absolutely awesome. We're halfway to 100, I guess. That's cool. But enough of that. You can find me at iDrewby on Twitter. You can find Bryce at Bryce DeWitt. And you can find the show at The House of Mario. If you're keen, if you like the episode, leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It'll be very much appreciated. We have a Discord community where there are a good handful of awesome people we communicate with every day. Absolutely love it in there. We're planning on starting a multiplayer sessions. It's just both Bryce and I will work at nighttime and during the day, so finding that time is hard, as a lot of you guys are, I dare say, aware. And we are a part of the 8-Bit Collective. 10 podcasts and 22 podcasters coming together to make awesome content for your ears. They're some of my best friends in the 8-Bit Collective, honestly. They are, the other guys inspire me so much to keep making this show better, to keep pushing on, to keep going. That's what I was thinking when I was editing this episode anyway, because it literally took me probably 10 hours. I'm not joking. And we're going to leave you with this week's Nintendo Jukebox, which is the Overworld theme from Blossom Tales. It is awesome. As I said before, this is one of my favorite games on Switch, and I hope you guys eventually pick it up if you haven't already. It was a pleasure talking to Miguel and Rob from Castle Pixel. It was just awesome. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next week. And actually, stay up to date on our social media, because next week is going to be a huge week. There's going to be more than one episode, and there's going to be lots of interviews, because we are going to AvCon in our capital city in South Australia, Adelaide. It's going to be awesome. Alright, guys, we'll see you later, and have a good one.